we present to you America's quintessential iconoclastic anomaly. Wow. In talk radio, your host, Joe Cristiano.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. The inscription on the Statue of Liberty. I'd like for my listeners and anyone else who will listen to absorb those words and attempt to associate that phrase with today's culture. Folks, last week I had a broadcast on Thursday morning on the internet, talked about culture. I have been consumed of the subject only because I cannot define it. If we cannot define a culture, we don't know who we are as a people. Now, I don't think people like Steven Seagal is going to do that for us, although these are the people we emulate. If you were to ask me that question 100 years ago, the answer would have been quick and simple. I doubt anyone would have had a problem answering what is the culture of the United States of America. It's what we all dreamed of. It's what the world yearned to have, at least the huddled masses around the world. And we had. And people flocked to our shores. It was a very, very simple answer to an incredibly complex question. Now, culture can be defined many ways. It could be those the actions, the mores, the backgrounds, the people, the way we think. There's all different types of definitions for culture. Books have been written on it, but it's unnecessary. If someone had asked me 100 years ago, describe the culture of the United States, and not being a historian or anything like that, not being too smart, the first thing that would come to my mind is rugged individualism. Now, if you disagree with me, please call 855-866-1170. I'm talking 100 years ago. 855-866-1170. Give me your take on it. Now, understand, I have been consumed by this subject to a point that it's really bothering me. Because we have problems today that did not exist 100 years ago. We had what our politicians would consider a rudimentary lifestyle, and yet we were the envy of the world. Today we have everything. Are we the envy of the world? Absolutely not. Are there still many people around the world who would like to come to the United States, yearning to be free? Absolutely. Hundreds of millions. Because if you compare their lifestyle today to ours, it's a haven for them. You see, your base point is, it just depends. If you've starved to death all your life, and someone says, hey, I have some fresh fruits and vegetables, you would eat them. You would gladly eat them because you've been starving. But if you just got out of McDonald's or some other fast food franchise, someone say, you want to have some fresh fruits and vegetables? Nah, I don't want to do that. All depends on your reference point. You see, folks, we're the ones walking out of the fast food franchise, undernourished and overweight. And we're not yearning to be free. Don't kid yourself. We're yearning to get home so that we can turn on the television and be told what to do next. People didn't listen to the news every day, every hour of the day. They may have read the newspaper once a week, maybe. Children went to school with rifles because they went hunting after school. Not play rifles, not bubble rifles, not toy balloons, rifles, 22s, 223s. We respected the individual. And today, the individual is subservient to the state. To say today that the United States can be characterized by rugged individualism would be the most dishonest statement you could ever utter in your mouth, from your mouth.
No more Theodore Roosevelts.
Oh, thank you. And everything that we have learned, I just picked up a book. It's The Lies that I think the lies your teachers told you, or something like that. I'm sorry, I just lost the thing. I don't have it with me. I was going to bring it with me. In other words, all the lies that you learn in school, in history. Gigantic book. Guy never intended it to go anywhere. Went around the world. You won't hear this. You won't hear about what we were at one time and where we have come. Quite frankly, because it's too embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me. My father came here back in 1930, 6 or 7 or something like that. He had not a dime on him, not a dime. Did not speak the language. Met my mother. Oh, I guess he had some friends here. He stayed with them for a while. He met my mother. His future mother-in-law lent him $14, which he regretted borrowing from her because she reminded him every damn day.
I bet that's true. Yeah.
Oh, you got to hear that story. I mean, I heard that when I was a kid every day about that frickin' $14. Oh, the name of the book is Lies My Teacher Told Me. Thank you.
What kind of profession was your dad in?
None.
He just got
absolutely none. Had no. He first got a job in a Polish piano factory.
Wow.
And he was from Italia.
Ah.
He's a Napolitana, you know. And he was, and he used to tell stories. He said every day, you know what the big treat was at the end of the day? Everyone beat up on him because he was the only Italian in the Polish. They beat the hell out of him. He went back to work every day.
Wow. Is that why they brought Uncle Louis back over from?
You know, please, Uncle Louis is another story. I do have an Uncle Louis. Like I tell everybody.
Oh my gosh.
He belonged to the. He was employed by a big nationwide international organization started with an M, and we're not talking Monsanto. You know. Oh, he was bad. We had the good and the bad and the ugly, you know. But my father came at $14, you know, and he wound up building up taking that $14, suffering. He tells stories you would not believe. In fact, there's someone believe it have to be true. You can't make stuff like this up. Anyway, he did have a business, a thriving business, and he did very well for himself. I mean, relatively, in today's vernacular, he's just a regular guy. But for those times, he did very, very well. Believe it or not, you know what business he wound up being in? And I could never figure out how he did that.
What's that?
He manufactured ladies' gloves.
Really?
Yeah, that's something that you don't, it's not done. First of all, it's not even done anymore.
No.
Yeah, it's not done.
By the Chinese.
Yeah.
By the Chinese. Yeah.
I used to work behind a cutting machine, and most dangerous thing in the world. There was no guards, nothing. You put your hands under this thing with knives in them, and you do this so fast, you do it in your sleep because it's repetitious.
Yeah.
And I recall doing it, and there's these dies crushing through dozens of layers of material, and your fingers are in between them, And you think after a while, wait a minute, I can cut my fingers, I cut my hand off. And you just
sure.
do anyway. But I worked there for years. Horrible place. Anyway, but this is what people did. Could you imagine today? We would be looking for SBA loans. We'd be looking for government grants. We'd be looking for subsidies. We'd have foods. I mean, you name it. That's what we'd be looking for.
Oh, we'd shut him down because, no guards, no this.
Oh no! But my father's factory was a EPA nightmare. I mean, but it was. But no one ever got hurt.
No OSHA standards there. Huh?
No.
You got all 10.
No, and let me tell you, I'm going to digress because this is an interesting story. He worked. The gals had to join the ladies' garment union, right? But when the union rep came, he came up in the elevator. He used to knock on the door, call me, ask me to ask my father to meet him in the elevator, because he was afraid of the girls, because they disliked the union so much and they were forced to join.
Wow.
Right, really, so talking about this, everyone happy with the union, that was bull. He would never come out of the elevator. He was afraid for his life. There were 40 girls there. Anyway, and that's a good story. But that's the truth. I mean, I never forget that. With a gun, by the way. Anyway, we're almost time for a break, aren't we?
You got a couple minutes, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, before we go on, right after the break, I'll continue. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Folks, our sponsors make this program possible. This program is for you. It's for me. It's for everyone in the United States. It's for everyone in the world. It has to do with freedom. And people aren't talking it. They're talking through both sides of their mouths. This program is pure freedom and liberty. If you support freedom and liberty and you want to shore up your freedom and liberty, support the sponsors. It's very simple. It's Ranch Acres Audiology. They do hearing, everything with hearing. McCool's Firearms, great place for, if you have any questions, you stop by, they'll spend an hour talking with you. All-Tech Fire and Security, and GoLibertyFoods.com, for your long-term storage foods. We have to support one another. It's exactly the way it works. And if we get big enough, everyone in the United States will be supporting one another, and we won't need the stupid big government that we have. All right? Are you with me on that?
Amen.
That's the way it should be. All right, let's stop for break. I guess the best way to describe the culture of the United States is to say it's dysfunctional. Absolutely dysfunctional. A classical definition would be a set of shared values, goals, practices, and values. Think about that. A set of shared values, goals, practices, and values. No one could defend that statement and say that it has anything to do with this country today. Listen to talk radio. I mean, what I love about talk radio, you have these people saying, the children, we got to do this, we got to do that. But then we take drones, airplanes, soldiers around the world for reasons, by the way, unknown to us, right? Killing people only because those people were born on dirt, not politically enclosed in our place, in the United States. I mean, how does killing people overseas and even a collateral damage, how does that fit with a set of shared values, goals, practices, and values? Do you think that I share that value? Do I share that value, that practice? I don't share that at all. So all of a sudden, I'm really not an American. I don't share the culture. And the problem we have is everyone is fractured. There is no culture anymore. Think about it. There's not one person in the world that can define the culture of the United States. Now, if you wanted to define it in overall terms, in our actions viewed from outside the United States, you'd say, oh, we are a warmongering nation. We are perennially at war. We interfere with everyone's business for our personal gain. That would be correct. Now, does that make you proud to be an American? Why don't you stand up? Everyone stand up right now and go, USA, USA. And when I see that, I get sick. Because it's mindless. I see people in stadiums standing up with USA just because we beat the hell out of another team. What's the stupidity in that?
And they're so small. It'd be like kicking the little kid down the street.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable. You know, it's unbelievable. We kicked the heck out of another team. We said, USA, USA. What the hell? And you ask them, what the hell you mean by that? Well, I'm proud to be an American. You say, fine, you're proud to be American? Now tell me, what does that mean?
It's like the NFL playing Jinx High School.
Yeah, well, then this.
Yeah, that's a good.
Really,
That's great,
what the,
Gary. Yeah.
What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? We beat Czechoslovakia in a game, and we're USA. What does that mean, USA? What, when you're chanting it, what the hell are you saying? Who are you referring to? Well, now you're asking this jerk, this mind-numbing drone, a question. Yeah, no, sorry, a zombie. You're asking a zombie a question. You ain't gonna get an answer, folks. You know, you see where I'm coming from. That's why when people get all this patriotic crap, it just bothers the hell out of me. It's always at the expense, and when I say expense, I mean the lives of men, women, and children, innocent men, women, and children. We can kill millions of people around the world and justify it. Yeah. Someone comes here, kills one person. Oh, my God, atomic war.
Oh, not if we call them an insurgent.
Oh,
here.
no, if you're an insurgent, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
USA,
Trevor,
USA,
you're somebody.
USA. Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have no more culture here. Let's get really basic. The way it should work, folks, is that in any group, I don't care if it's a family, a neighborhood, you know, for millennium, for thousands and thousands of years, the person with the wisdom was whom? The elder, right? It was right, the older folk. It was the elder. People went to the elder for advice and guidance. I'm just going to give you one instance of where this culture does not exist. It's an uncultured country. Today, who gets all the prominence and the praise and everything? Where does all the money, time, and effort go? The children. Oh, the old man? Oh, Joe, you know, he's old, you know, just have him say, put him anywhere. Put him in the closet, you know? Little Johnny, oh, yeah, we have to attend to little Johnny. And yet, when people have a problem, do you think they go to their elders? I'll be honest with you, no one ever asked me a damn question. No one. I'm serious. In my own family, when we get together, who gets the consideration? The kids, not me. I sit in the corner, I'm quiet. I do my duty, I leave. And it's that way with many families today, where the old people are just old people. When I was young, and I went to my aunt's house, for example, with my father, and my father was sort of the patriarch of the family, and he never said he was. He never said, you have to ask me. Never said anything. But he was the patriarch of the family. It's assumed because he was the oldest person there. He helped everybody else out. He was sort of the solid rock of the whole family, aunts and uncles, everybody. And when we went over Aunt Minnie's house, and that was her name, Aunt Minnie, big lady, you know, wonderful lady. And he walked in, and of course, back then, you know, people didn't have much, you know, and there was a nice chair in the living room, and one of the kids was sitting on the nice chair. What do you think happened? Now, he didn't say, get up, this is my chair. Never. He would stand there. He wouldn't say anything. But some would go, you know, that's Victorio's, it's Victorio's chair. Z Victorio, Uncle Victor, Z Victorio. Z Victorio, up, and the kid would run away. I mean, it was instant. Now, don't get me wrong. He never demanded anything. He never wanted the job. But there was an understanding that he had the experience, the time. He went through the wars. He suffered, and he gave to the family. And he had wisdom and knowledge from his youth. My father would say things that if you heard today, you would say, this guy should be locked up. Let me give you one thing. He used to tell me, dozens of, I'm going to give you one of them, and you're not going to understand this. He used to say, Giuseppe, remember, never own anything. Crazy, right? The guy's a nutcake. Lock him up. Never own anything. The older I get, the more relevant that becomes. You see, he had wisdom that I could not see as a young person. He had value. He kept the family together in many ways. There was intangible ways. But we don't have that culture anymore.
What do you mean, Joe? What do you think he meant when he's telling you that? How do you perceive
Well,
that?
look at today. Today we own physically we own everything and have very little. We have very little sense of self. We have very little security, right? We have debt, right? And we don't have a sense of purpose because we have so many tangible items distracting us from what we should do and who we are. We have a SUV with $2,000 tires on it.
It owns
that we
us.
can't afford.
It owns us. We don't
That
really
absolutely, it owns up. And and of course, every time my father told me anything, I go, hey, I put the finger up in the head like, oh, I'm a nutcake, No, really, I'll be honest with you guys. Listen, I hope people in the studio here are laughing at me, but it's the truth. And now, what am I doing? Listen, I'm going to be 70 years old in a couple of months, and now I'm repeating everything my father said because he was absolutely right. Well, there was a core, there was a culture, there was a value. But today, I go over someone's house and there's kids, believe me, I could stand in the middle of the room and have to watch cartoons. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It drives me nuts. That's our culture. If there is a culture, I don't think that we have a culture. The young drive this place, and the young have nothing to offer. Nothing. Oh, yeah, they have degrees and they're going to school. They know nothing.
They have potential.
They have potential, and the potential that they have is misdirected. I'd like to correct that. There's no sense of family. And let me give you another. I watched a movie, a program one time. I'm going back over 50 years, maybe close to 60 years. And there was a talk show, very first talk show program on television, very first. And don't remember the guy's name. It's driving me nuts. It was before Jack Parr. That's how far back it goes. And the guy would ask questions that people knew. It's live. Ask people in the audience. It was like a big auditorium. It's a great program. I love that program. And a woman stood up. She wanted to ask her. She raised her hand. He pointed to her. This is live now. This is not fake, cut and all of this, cut and paste. Yeah. And she got up and she said, thank you very much. She says, I'm only a housewife. And he stopped her dead cold. He said, stop. He said, say no more. Oh, he yelled at her. He was angry. He said, you are the backbone of America. He said, without you, he said, we have no country. He said, if there is one job in this world that is the most important job to everyone around the world is the job that you have, and it's the most difficult. Don't you ever say that again. Oh, my God, he ripped her to shreds. I never forget that. This is 60 years ago. It must have left an impression because I don't remember what I did this morning before I got to the studio, seriously. And he's right. People say, oh, I'm just a housewife, but my husband's a manager of something or other, Yeah, what does he do? He pushes paper. And what do? Right? You raise children. You're a psychologist, You're an inventory manager. You're a financial manager. You are a key person. You are the matriarch of that family. But we don't do that today because mom goes to work, peddles the kids off to somebody else. And then they come home and they want to know where their children are, and they just out of hand, and they just don't like school anymore. We have problems, and right now they're irreversible in my opinion, but we can only do for ourselves now. Those of you who are listening to this program and not to other garbage that you hear on radio and TV may be able to salvage yourself and your family. Don't follow the rest. You'll go down the tubes with all of them. Please call me and tell me how you think. Tell me about who influenced you at 855-866-1170 right after our break. Let's take a break now. Thank you.
I warn you? Well, I don't. We warn you. Do not listen to Liberty Talk Radio on this station Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. or Saturday nights at 7 p.m. because we may be watching you. And you just might be suspected as a person who thinks for themselves. More of Liberty Talk continues here on Talk Radio 1170 KFAQ.
We need to change our culture from materialism to true family values. We have a caller. Let's take this caller on. She's been holding on for a long time. Hold on.
He.
Okay, he. Okay, you're on the line. Thank you for calling Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. Your first name and where you're calling from, please.
Vaughn, calling from Mills County, Texas.
Oh, Mills County. Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Great.
I'm in the process of reading a book by John Taylor Gatto called Weapons of Mass Instruction. Ooh. And his premise is that in the late 19th century, when our public school system was being put in place, it was immediately hijacked by powerful interests whose objective was to destroy individualism and break the ties between children and their families.
Wow.
You know what?
What's the title of the book again, please, caller?
Weapons of Mass Instruction.
Weapons of Mass Instruction.
Yeah. I don't know if that was, and I agree with that, by the way. I'm not disagreeing at all. You know, there's no way to know if, because we don't have the people here testifying that saying, yes, we did that for that reason. But that has been the exact result, hasn't it? Regardless of what the intention was, regardless. Even if the intentions were altruistic, that's exactly what occurred. Is that, in fact, in the state of California, about 5 years ago, a Supreme Court judge tried to, I didn't say Supreme Court, but a judge in the circuit court, I'm not sure which one it was, actually tried to strike down homeschooling because, and his logic and his words were, because it would sever the ties between the child and the state.
Oh, my.
Now, this is on record. In other words, what he was saying is that your first priority is your subservience to the state and not to your family. And he put it in writing.
That had to have been the 5th District Court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, most likely.
Well, Chris Rock, recently, he got on there and talked about Obama like he's kind of like him and Michelle are kind of like our mom and dad, and he's our boss. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The state.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in and making that comment. We certainly appreciate it. It's very applicable. If you'd send me an email with a mailing address and a T-shirt size to comments@libertytalkradio.com, I'd love to send you a Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt. And by the way, I lived in Texas. I think although I was born in New York, I'm a Texan at heart.
Okay, well, the author of that book was a teacher in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that something?
Something does come out of
interesting.
New York City. Something good does come out.
Okay, you want to give me his name or?
John Taylor Gatto, Gatto.
Yeah, he knows Uncle
Not
Louie,
Gotti,
probably.
but Gatto.
Gatto.
Okay, I got it. Call
He's
us.
related to Uncle Louie with that name, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much
And
for calling in.
want-
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to encourage parents of young children to homeschool their children. If you ask a 5-year-old, do you want to go away to some and be locked up in some building for 12 years, or do you want to stay home with mom and dad? And
Amen. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you're right. I'm with you 100%. We're on the same. I need you to wear this Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt and be a walking billboard for this cause. How about that?
Okay, well, I'd love to, but I don't use the internet.
Oh, okay. Well, send me a letter, and I'll give you an address if you have a
Okay,
pencil.
good.
8177 South
Okay.
South Harvard, Harvard Avenue,
Okay.
Suite or number 103. I'm sorry, 13. Was it 103 or 130? 130. I'm sorry, 130.
Okay.
Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Okay.
74137 1612, I think.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye now.
Thank you, Joe. Bye.
Well, he hit it right on the
Nail
head.
on the head there, Joe.
Right, he
Wow.
did. The thing is, we have no sense of family, and then we look toward people on TV to become our family. It's insane when you look at it. People, I know young people say, I'm getting married and I want to have children. I said, but you're a programmer. How are you going to have children? Well, I know of a place that it's a good daycare. Well, why are you having children if you're putting them in daycare? And after daycare, and by the way, there is no such good as a good daycare place. There is none. My daughter-in-law was in charge of inspector for daycare places. She put her daughter, my granddaughter, in the best. And guess what? It turned out to be lousy. And she's an inspector for the state. At the head guy, she was like the supervisor. She knew them all. She closed places down.
Yeah, schools are going to become
Yeah.
like penitentiaries.
So, and then from there, they
police
go to
around
school. Where do you think they get their influence from?
all the other knuckleheads.
Yeah, and then they say, well, there's no sense of family. Well, what you've done is you've told the kids you're not important. What's important to me is my job, doing whatever it is, even ticky-tacky job. I don't care what the hell it is, but I'll tolerate you. How do you expect your children to respond to that? Now, if in fact you were struggling and starving and everyone had to chip in and work in order to put food on the table, there's a sense of purpose. There's a reason. You know why mom and dad and you yourself, even as a kid, is babysitting, you're working, and you're pooling your money. You're not saying my mother's just pointing me out because mom wants to buy a Lexus SUV.
There you go.
We got a dysfunctional culture because we have no family, and in fact, the government does not want family. The best thing, like this this caller said, is to homeschool. Why not? There are those, and there are books written that say that if you work and make good money, you can actually do better financially if you stayed home without that income. All right, and we got a caller. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you for calling Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. Your first name and where you're calling from, please.
That's Mark calling from Tulsa.
Mark from Tulsa. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I would say the key word for what our culture is now is justice. Just us.
Oh, that's good.
Got that. That's
Very
right.
good.
And as far as homeschooling, enjoy reading about history. And everybody demeans women all over the world.
That's right.
But they were the ones that taught the kids the Bible and everything else as they were growing up. And when they went into manhood, then it was the woman that taught them basically everything they knew.
That's right. That's right. You're right on. You're right on.
That's what brings compassion in a man's heart is a woman. He gets that from his mother. Mother's gone. He's in a cruel world.
Yeah, we have no mother anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no mother. The mother is the state.
Yeah. That's why it's so cold.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much crime.
Yeah. Caller, where do you think we're going with all this?
Unfortunately, it's just going to get worse and worse, as they call it on the radio, nanny state.
Yep.
And eventually they'll get it to where you take your 2-month-old baby and turn them over to the state. You don't see them again until they're 18.
That's right. Hey, geez.
That's
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
My kids gave me a hard time. That sounds good, Anyway, hey, caller, thank you so much for calling Liberty Talk Radio. You send me an email with your mailing address and a T-shirt size. I'll send you a T-shirt, okay?
They'll
How
never
about
take
that?
them that. They'll never take them that early. You got to change their diapers.
Yeah. Yeah. You send me that email. I'll send you a T-shirt. You become a walking billboard for us, okay, for Liberty.
Will do.
Phil, thank you so much for calling. But, there is no very little sense of family. Look at the number of unwed mothers, for example, the number of children out there. I mean, it is horrible. Now, it would be one thing if you had a unwed mother and yet there was a family supporting them. Then that child would know Aunt so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so and whatever, and Brother so-and-so, and they would be working together under an unfortunate or lesser than ideal situation. But today, they're born, they get out in the street, and guess what? And they adopt family, folks, and guess who that family is? The local gang.
Yeah.
Because the local gang
And they
takes
do.
them
They-
in.
they treat them like a family.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, I come from Harlem, gang territory. You know, there were the Red Wings, you know, in the Bronx. There was the Counts, the
West
Dukes.
Side
We knew it.
Story.
Yeah, I tell you, I knew all that stuff. I lived that.
But you had home.
Yeah,
But
I
you
lived.
had a
Yeah,
home
I had
too.
home. But most of those guys did have home also. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, they did, and they turned out to be all right. Although they belonged to gangs. But today it becomes their family for life. And you know where they wind up? They don't wind up growing out of the gang. They wind up being transferred from the gang into prison.
There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
right.
it's
'cause they don't have a
we're
family.
totally
That's
dysfunctional.
seriously. That's
And now, if we look to our government for guidance, we say, "Oh, but we must have sense of family, love each other, and all this." And then what we do is we take our young men and women who can't find a job,
Oh, yeah.
right? We train them in the army to do what? Not to be typists, not to be programmers, to kill. Then we send them overseas and we say, "Oh, you see those bunch of people there? They're possible insurgents. Kill them." You know? And if you happen to kill men, women, and children, I mean, that's collateral. That's okay. They come back totally dysfunctional. Their minds are shot. They are worthless for the rest of their lives, and they're psychopaths.
PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, and yet our country says we are a peace-loving nation. If you asked people around the world, define the culture of the United States, you would not like for 1 minute any of the answers that you received. But 100 years ago, people would say, "Oh yeah, that's a place where you're free. You can do what you want. You can make something of yourself." They would talk about rugged individualism, and you would be proud. Back 100 years ago, you could say USA, you know, and account for it, and be proud that you're saying it and defend it. Today, when you say that, you say, "What are you saying that for?" When we come back from our break, I want to talk about my most hated expression.
Awesome!
You know, folks, I want to go on record by saying I hate everybody in the studio. You know, they know I have disdain for that word awesome. They actually go through all this trouble. You know, to
And it was a lot
aggravate
of
me.
trouble to put that together.
I know
for
that.
you.
They go through a lot of trouble and expense just to aggravate me. I tell you, I know you're not supposed to hate, but I'm telling you, it's really tough not to in the studio. Oh, boy. But that word is really part and parcel of this entire message. You know, we have lost our ability to truly communicate. Not only don't we really communicate with one another, talk about substantive things, substantive matters, things that we learn from one another, things that we can share, things that make us better, make us move forward in our own lives. But our language has languished. I was watching, I think I said this last week, there was a program, every other word was awesome. Oh, this is really awesome. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, man, hey, look how awesome this. And, you know, I have friends that say, awesome. I say, I hear that word one more time, I'm leaving. I can't stand it anymore. And the problem is not the word. I like the word. You know, the word, it's the way it's used, is that we have lost the ability to think critically. Remember Zorgology, you know, free your mind, your body will follow. How could you free your mind when you go, "Man, that's awesome, man, everything's awesome," you know? TV commercials, everything. And we watch television, and what do we hear? "Oh, man, you better buy this car, it's awesome, man." And we sit there and go, "Man, that's an awesome car." We are the dumbest people in the world. Oh, come on. Yeah. You know, I better go to another station. I can't take these guys anymore. You know? But you see what I mean? And we've always simplified everything. We don't want to think. We just want to say the word awesome. Now, and that makes us very superficial. If there's one thing I can say about my father, like him or dislike him if you knew him, that's up to you. I mean, if you knew him back in those days, I mean, he was really a good man, a very, very good man. One thing I can say about my father that he was not, and that was superficial. He was substantive. When he said, Giuseppe owned nothing, that was substantive. Of course, back then, I put my finger up to my hand and went, oh, nutcake, you know. Really, I mean, he said things like that. My grandfather would say things like, before you go out to eat, make sure you eat. Makes no sense to us today.
He would say that?
Makes no sense to us. Makes none. But you have to understand, back then, to actually go somewhere and actually have the meal show up, that was a blessing. I mean, that was unusual, because a good chance you would go somewhere hungry, there wouldn't be enough food. I mean, this was substantive stuff. This was not like, awesome, man. We eat junk food manufactured by the agricultural industrial complex, supported by the military industrial complex, that's supported by the banking industrial complex, and we feel that we're free people. Oh my God, where have we gone? You know, some cultures, there are cultures around that don't know aggression. Now, if you want to look at that culture, and you say, well, define that culture, you say, well, they're peace-loving people. There are actually tribes, I mean, big tribes, I mean, not only small tribes in the jungle, that don't know, they don't understand what that means. They're never aggressive towards one another. And where they learn that from? From the elders, and the elders bring that down year after year, generation after generation. We have no elders. You know how elder is today? The television. Downloading your apps on Apple. And what I detest is when, oh, Johnny's so smart, he knows how to download an app. I want to give Johnny a spanking, you know? Well, he needs it. Now, let me tell you the most hated expression to me, and which typifies everything that I'm saying. People generally will tell me when I'm in a discussion with them on any subject, you pick it. They'll say, you know, Joe, I agree with you. I go, oh, geez, what are you doing? Isn't that nice? But. I said, well, stop. They go, why? I said, you agree with me? That's great. I don't need a but. Just, thank you. They go, oh, no, I agree with you, but. I said, well, then you disagree with me. Oh, no, I don't disagree with you. I said, well, you agree with me, then that's it. Thank you. They said, no, but. You mean, but? That means you disagree with me. And they cannot see the logic in that. Because they cannot even people cannot bring themselves today to say, Joe, let me tell you where I disagree with you. And give me some logic. They can't do it. Never happens. Man, I agree with you, but you're awesome, man, anyway. Yeah, there's a conversation. It's stupid. It's absolutely. Folks, please, you got to call me, 855-866-1170. Give me your favorite expression, 855-866-1170. We have time for one or two more calls. I'd love to hear from you. And by the way, you can send me your email anytime to comments@libertytalkradio.com. And you can visit my website, libertytalkradio.com. You can see me and all these other pretty people as well.
We're just beautiful in here. We're just beautiful.
No,
awesome.
No, you're awesome. You're awesome.
We're just awesome, Joe. We're awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. And, you know, if I opened this program by saying, you know, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, how does that sit right now? After this conversation, how would that sit? I mean, would you inscribe that on the Statue of Liberty today? And if you did, how would you feel about it?
No, you'd say, come get some food stamps and get a free ride. And,
Yeah.
You know, that's what you'd have today. And that's why they're coming. They're
That's
not
right.
coming for individualism.
Right. You know, and all this stuff about immigration, wrong issue. Wrong issue. They say, oh, who we should let in and how many we should let in. That's all political. Has nothing to do with need. You know, people say, well, I don't want them people down there to come over here and, you know, take our jobs. I say, okay, when is the last time you applied for a job that was really tough and difficult that you really didn't want to do? Well, I wouldn't do that when I'm stupid.
Yeah,
I said, then you're not gonna pick lettuce, are you, or whatever they do, or pull lettuce out of the ground in 108-degree heat. Hell no, I'm stupid, I'm more educated. Then let them do it if they want to do it. That's why they come here.
Or go do it yourself. Yeah.
You know, one time this guy was adamant, and my response to him was this. I said, if, in fact, someone from another country can come here and compete with you for a job who doesn't even speak the language, what does that say about you and what you have to offer? Guy almost punched me in the head. Let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you for calling Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. Your first name and where you're calling from.
Jim in Ordway, Colorado, Joe.
Oh, Jim, how are you? This Jim? Yeah, you called last time. I remember him. Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, another thing I'm noticing in the under 30 thing is when they address you is dude. It's not by your name.
Dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Oh
dude.
my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a great one.
Drives me crazy.
Well, what's on your mind, dude?
You know, it's like they disregard your name and lump you into like a lemmer, what do you call it? Lemming like they are, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as that.
Yeah. It's no more sir. Very rarely you hear sir or ma'am, you know, thank you very much or anything like that, you know. Right, you know. Well, that's because, you know why, Jim? I have the answer to that. The reason why they do that is because they're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome people, you know.
They don't ask your name.
Yeah.
They just say dude. They don't care who you are.
Yeah. Well, do you sort of experience what I've been talking about, Jim, or am I off base?
Oh, yeah, I noticed that in the 30 and under group. And then they trip over their facial jewelry trying to talk. You know?
Yeah.
Facial jewelry.
Oh, that's another
Is
thing.
that what you call it? Facial jewelry.
I love that. You know. Listen, I have very good friends and good people that are all marked up. And I'll be honest. I mean, I don't say anything to them, you know, but they're really good people in the whole bit. I think they have made, and they really know they've made one hell of a mistake, because you know girls who do this, and Jim, what about girls who, you know, styles come in and out after 2 or 3 months? It's not, you know, when you put a tattoo on your arm, that's a style, and it's there forever. You know, and Jim, we're almost out of time. Thank you very much for calling in. Okay, and I appreciate you listening.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you a ring I left you a message during the week.
I know, I got it, and I'll give you a call back.
Yeah, it's about, I might get you another sponsor and having a meeting tomorrow.
You know, Jim,
Awesome.
that's you know, you're a
We
good
like
man.
that kind of guy.
Yeah, you're a good man. I don't care what they say about you. Okay, Jim, thanks
You're
a lot.
more than
We'll
awesome.
Take care. All right. Well, you know, this is almost a wind down of the program. I hope that this inflection makes you think. Now, if you start thinking and you go, well, this and well, that, you know you have a problem. If it hurts to think, you know you really have a problem. But without starting to think, without turning the stupid television off that's indoctrinating you and your children, especially your children, this country will continue its slide down the tubes. And whenever you hear someone say, oh, I agree, but, or you hear, someone ask a question, and what they do is they answer something totally different, and they get off the subject. We have lost our ability to converse. Well, why do we have to converse? Hey, we have text messaging.
Oh.
You see, we have no sense of, and we say, oh, my community is on Facebook. You have no community. You have lost your sense of self. In other words, your personal identity is gone. You have no sense of purpose and of self. You know that. I know. We all know that. And until this culture returns to what it should be, rugged individualism, with strong, what family values means families stay home and they take care of themselves, not the government, then we'll be okay. Thank you for listening to Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. This is Joe Cristiano, your, this is the University of Logic, Cristiano's Conservatory, right? Correcting convoluted conversation. Goodbye.